Hey everyone, welcome to a brand new show. Me, Jimmy Williams, sports broadcaster, have commentated a little bit of WAFL, a little bit of AFL, and my very good mate, he's far better at football, he's far better at basketball than I. He is the one and only Aaron Black, West Perth legend, one-game West Coast Eagle, instant meme from that famous COVID game, Jeff from Finance. Great to have you here, Blacky. I'm really excited to rip in. Welcome.
I'm excited to be here, mate. Huge shout out to the Hard Yarns podcast and Cameron Branch. You'll notice a bit around the studio. We've commandeered it for the time being, so thanks to Branchy. I'm excited to be here, mate. It's been a long time coming for both of us, I think. And, you know, the generational meme thing, we'll get to that in a minute.
This is something we've spoken about doing for a very long time. I haven't been allowed to do it contractually through my old job. So I'm very excited to get stuck in. And I just want to echo what you said about Branchy and the Hard Yarners, what they've done over the last 5 to 7 years, probably longer. Branchy, who's producing us today, absolutely phenomenal. And if we can be half as good as the product that he's made, I think we will be okay. But it has been a big week out west. Obviously, the mid-season draft came and went. A couple of young lads that I want to ask you about. One you play with and the other you would have played against. So we'll start with the young fella who was lucky enough to get drafted. Lucky's probably not the right word because he's been phenomenal. Jackson Artemis, South Fremantle to Tassie. He's now going to the Essendon Footy Club. How did you react when you found out? And tell us a little bit about the player that Artemis is.
Yeah, he obviously was projected to go pretty high. He made a move over to Tassie at the start of the year. And I'd say I'm lucky enough to have worked with a few people who were in the South Fremantle circles the last couple of years. And they were really high on him. They were also surprised at him going over to Tasmania and thinking maybe that wouldn't be the best decision for him. But I do sort of remember sitting back and watching the grand final last year, and he really stood out to me as a kid who was playing such a high brand in such a big game, takes the game on, run and carry, all the things that AFL clubs are looking for. So I think, from that side of things, it was probably a no-brainer where Essendon are at the moment. I think it was probably a pretty wise decision for him, and he's going to go okay.
It would have been a pretty crazy sort of 48, 72 hours because or if you go back to last weekend, the game that's played between Essendon and Richmond go into that game with pick 1 and they're big on him. And then all of a sudden, Richmond beat Essendon. Essendon now have pick 1 in the mid-season draft. And he would have been thinking, and I'm sure he would have had those people around him saying, well, this is probably going to mean you're going to go to Essendon because everyone was so big on him. Don't know if you saw the photo of him that's been used in the media. So he's obviously been playing at Tassie. He's got this curly brown hair and it looks like he's got like a little mohawk. It's not a flattering photo of the young fella, but I am really huge on watching him. Who knows? It could be this weekend, but it did get me thinking. It got me thinking about your famous one game that you played for West Coast. How do you think he would go if he was to parachute in and play? Do you think he could play for Essendon as soon as this week out west against the Eagles?
We got into the West Coast situation pretty quickly. First step.
Yeah.
Look, I think for the athlete, people who play footy at the second tier level, for a lot of us, we think about that for a large part of our life. Like that's what you want to do. That's the be all and end all. So for Jackson, he probably thought about it all last year in his draft year and it didn't happen, and then he makes a move to try and achieve that goal. So in terms of parachuting in, like I don't think he will have any issues being plugged and played in a situation. I guess we had thoughts that in conversations with people that Essendon seemed to have some pretty quality half-backs, one of them being a West Perth product in Jacob Farrow, who played with me last year. But, that they're probably stronger in that area and that's where Jackson's going to play. But I would assume.
Been a crazy old week at Essendon. Obviously, we'll get to that a little bit later. They are searching for a new coach. But we do have to we have to address the elephant in the room. I don't know how long we've been going for, but there's a big elephant in the room, and we need to talk about it because you're still playing. You're doing your best, but 2026 so far for West Perth, winless. What on earth is happening down at the footy club that we both love? You play there. I'm lucky enough just to call a few of you my mates and watch you and hope that you win. But what has happened in the first 2.5 months?
I guess you could lightly call it playing from my behalf. I'm a long way in. Look, I guess that's sport, mate. You've been around and you've called it. And
I haven't played.
We watch a lot and you watch a lot of it. Sides go through these kind of patches where you're just not having a lot of success, and we had a big changeover last year. Big turnover of players in the last 4 years. You know, it's a challenging situation, and I guess we want to win. We go out there to try and win, and the hard part is getting that done because the other team's trying to do the same thing, mate. So I guess it's a little bit of potentially where we're at, which is, you know, not nice to reflect and think about, but we've got some stuff we need to improve on. We've been there and thereabouts in, you know, 3 or 4 of the 7 losses. So there are times there where we're playing some really good footy. It's not exactly the way you envision a season going at the start of them either. So with a long way to go, with a lot of work to do, but you know, we can definitely turn some things around. But that's sport, mate.
Massive derby Monday against East Perth, which is your home game.
WA day.
I reckon I will be there, and I reckon a lot of fans and members will turn out in hope that might be your first win. Although we spoke about the mid-season draft, I do want to double back. Not the night that Kane Bevan would have hoped for. This kid is something special, and he's developed and built his game, and there was a lot of noise around him getting a chance in the AFL, which it's most important to note, and I'll let you speak on it more than me, but his dream isn't over yet. There was a lot of noise being made around him being a target in the mid-season draft. There's so much time for Kane Bevan, but can you just speak on the kid he is and how you think he'll bounce back from missing out on Wednesday at the mid-season draft?
Well, mate, firstly, he is a terrific young man. He's a vice captain of our footy club at 21 years of age, around then. So, you know, to have those kind of leadership qualities and be a vice captain of a footy club at his age is speaking volumes of the kind of kid he is. He's a diligent worker. He's tried his absolute best to this point to get the most out of himself, all different types of training programs and things like that to get faster, get stronger, be a better kick, you know, all the things that clubs want and expect to be done at a high level. But I guess it's a bit of luck of the draw. You know, there's some guy sitting there who makes the decision at the end of the day whether they need or want said player, and he's been unlucky. He was unlucky last year. Played, you know, a really high brand in the state game and finished with some good numbers. He's probably playing in a side that's really struggling but stood out massively. Big numbers, big clearance numbers, kicking goals. He's a really good size. So the dream's not over.
So you've been in this position. You would have seen many players, many young men come through the West Perth Football Club who have unfortunately missed their chance. What are you going to say to him to make sure that he continues to press to get into the AFL?
I mean, I'm sure we'll have a conversation at some stage, but that'll happen organically. I probably won't force a conversation like that, if I'm honest. I don't think, you know, he's probably in a frame of mind where he's not overly happy, be a little bit upset and frustrated. Okay. Absolutely. And that conversation will happen organically. He'll always ask for advice or support to watch footage, things like that. So he'll probably find the time, and I'll find the time when to have a conversation about it. But he sits in a leadership group and a senior player group, sits between, you know, myself, Tyler Keitel, Luke Meadows and Shane Nelson, who all probably had the similar feeling, with maybe less opportunity from a mid-season draft perspective and, you know, with less opportunities back when we were, you know, of draft age. So he's going to have more opportunities than we potentially did. So yeah, that's how I sit on it. I'll chat to him at some stage, mate. But we've got to win a game of footy on Monday too, and he's probably going to put his mind straight to that.
I saw him. I saw the vision. I wasn't at the ground, but I was working the day. This year, he kicked that 180 spin goal against Swan Districts. Runs through a pack, picks the ball up, blindly turns, kicks a goal, and I thought, I thought definitely. And I wasn't the only one. There were many who thought that he was going to go. But the dream isn't over for Kane Bevan, I can assure you of that. I reckon, like you said, you know him better than I, but he is a fantastic young person, and I expect that he will press his case for the end of the year, maybe the Tasmanian team. Who knows? We will get stuck into the big week it's been at Essendon. We have to. We are obliged to talk about this because the numbers, the voices, some of the most respected people in the game are talking about Essendon's vacant coaching position. Brad Scott has been given the sack. Their record over the last however many games has been horrendous. Some will probably tell you it was a matter of time. We won't go into the nitty-gritty of the numbers, okay, because we'll get bogged down. But what's happened today
There's a lot to get bogged down in. What's
happened over the past sort of few days is a suggestion that James Hird, the great James Hird, that played for Essendon, that has already coached Essendon, I've said this a couple of times in the show already, parachuted. There's a suggestion that people behind the scenes will parachute James Hird in to be the senior coach. Now, you've played in a team that's sacked a coach halfway through a season. It's going to be interesting to see how Essendon handle that. But I just want to ask you, because you've been around and in teams longer than I have, because actually playing the game, what would the players be thinking in the back of their mind with the noise going on that someone who used to coach the club might be coming back to coach the club given everything that happened at Essendon during that horrendous period, which involved suspensions and bans and such?
Mate, you know more than me about the list specifics potentially, but I don't think there'd be anyone there that played under James. That's a long time ago.
Yeah, probably not.
I don't think.
Probably not off the top of my head.
Yeah, I wouldn't think so. So, like from that side of things, I don't think
Zach Merritt maybe?
He might be the only one, but I don't think there'd be that many, if any, and I don't think it's going to have that big of an impact personally because if none of them have been coached by him, then there's no impact on a coach returning, in my opinion. I think new coach. That's what I'm viewing it as.
But he's not a new coach though.
He's not,
because he's done it already.
Correct. But for the players that are there, new coach coming in, not specifically a brand new coach.
Okay, well let me rephrase. Let me rephrase.
Yeah, give me more.
Do you think Essendon would be making a mistake to go back to someone that has delivered the program before with everything that happened?
Yeah, I wouldn't do it. Which goes back on everything that I just said, because I don't think they should be concerned about it. But I think
speaking from player perspective, though.
Yes, but I don't think they should. I don't dive too much into the AFL world, actually, surprisingly enough. But
you're gonna have to.
I might start. But I've had a few conversations with Essendon fans and people who also know footy from WAFL circles, and like the James Kelly name popped up as someone that they'd be keen to have. Now, I don't know if they know more than I do, but I would go outside of someone they've had at the footy club before ran the program, personally. But I don't think it would be an issue if they did do that, because there are no players there who have experienced James Hird as the coach.
The most important thing, I think, is that Essendon, I sound like my old colleague and Freo great Paul Hayes will be here, but they simply just have to go through a process, which is why there's been a little bit of controversy made around it already, is that some people are suggesting that some names won't go into that process if James Hird is in it.
Yeah, which is surprising, but I've been at West Perth for a long period of time, and we've had 4 coaches across that period of time for differing reasons, and I think it's really important, thinking back and assessing that they would go through the right process. They would make sure that they cross T's, dot I's, do all the stuff that they should do if they are a good football club, which, they haven't been for probably an extended period of time. So they probably need to make sure they do the right things.
You're a high school teacher, right? You would probably...
Try to be, yeah.
There would be a few Fremantle and West Coast fans, I'm sure, that you teach. What's the vibe amongst young people about how far Freo can go this year?
Well, actually, the office is probably the big one.
Yeah.
We got quite a large office, and there's 3 or 4 Freo supporters in there, and a couple of West Coast, a couple of Essendon supporters too. So
are the Freo fans starting to get carried away? Believe,
mate, I'm gonna be honest. I thought they were getting more carried away last year. So there's a little bit of a bit standoffish about where they're at. I've been a big fan of Freo the last couple of years. Even last year, I thought they were going to go really well. Just the way they play the game, the players they've got playing, I thought they were just as positive, or they showed positive signs last year, and obviously this year where they're at, they're flying, and some of their stars are next level at the moment. So I think it's calm. Optimism's the word I'm after. A bit of calm optimism. It's been a long day at work, mate. We had exams all day.
Oh,
I'm struggling to speak.
Lucky you
too many head knocks, maybe.
Luckily, you weren't doing the exams. They've got a kid. They got a kid, Fremantle. I think this kid is probably my favourite player in the league right now. Those who know me know I'm a Saints man, and I was unfortunately there to watch us get rolled in that fourth quarter with my good mate Dave, who's a Fremantle fanatic. And I was getting some very nice things said to me in the last quarter, I can assure you. I was actually sitting in the Freo Life members. So a friend of mine gave me tickets.
You wouldn't have had your tattoo out.
I had my jumper on under a jacket, but they could tell I was a St Kilda supporter. And they were getting into me in the fourth quarter. A couple of Judd McVee's. Well, they claimed they were Judd McVee's cousins. I don't know whether or not they were. But Murphy Reid, I loved calling this kid. Very, very grateful that I got to get in the commentary box and call his name. This guy is something special. The game just slows down when he has the footy. He destroyed St Kilda in the fourth quarter. They put him on the ball.
Who does he remind you of, Jim, if you think of someone who's played the game, past or present?
Who does Murphy Reid...
There's one for you.
I don't really know, because he's not a big guy. He's not a big, massive, tall midfielder, but he just doesn't waste his disposals. And not only does he not waste them, every time he touches the ball, it feels like something is going to happen. I felt that from his early games when he was playing. And I think he had 30 touches on against the Saints, and I think half of them were score involvements. So he's been warned that he's going to cop a tag. Who does he remind me of? He's so crafty.
30 and I
he's so
11
crafty.
touches on the weekend, Jim. He had 15 score involvements. I had 11 touches.
Well, you need to. You're going to have more on Monday against East Perth, the old rival. Moving to West Coast now, they have a big 3-week block here. Now, I went on the radio when the fixture came out back end of last year, and I'm going to stand by this. They can win their next 3 games. So they've got Essendon this week. Tumultuous time at that club. Now, I know people think, it's a bit, there's been a bit of a kerfuffle at Essendon and the backs are against the wall and there's no pressure because there's a new coach in. But West Coast they're going all right.
Okay.
They're going okay. And then the other 2 that they play are, I think, off the top of my head, from memory, Port Adelaide and North Melbourne, who have sold their home game here because North are here playing 2 games as a home team, which benefits Fremantle and West Coast in the fixture, which is fine because that's North Melbourne's decision to sell those games. But I'm standing by it. I think West Coast, there's a chance that they go on a 3-game win streak beginning Sunday. You're a believer?
Am I deep down a West Coast man? Maybe. Maybe now I am. I don't know if I am. I think North are going okay.
Yeah.
I think they'll struggle against North in that 3rd week. And Port, to be fair, after they lost against Carlton on the weekend, I've got a little bit in this as well. So I'm going to think that they don't win 2. They'll win this week, but they won't win the next 2.
You don't have them winning all 3 in a row?
No, I don't.
Okay.
I've got a little bit of a conversation with one of the blokes at the footy club on how many games West Coast to win this year. I won it last year and I've doubled down.
So you've got them. What you're saying is you have them unders.
I've got them unders.
Whatever
6 was the number, under 6 wins. Last year it was more wins than losses, believe it or not, and I took that.
It's funny how much winning takes pressure off, because if you're big on social media, and I spend way too much time on there, but people were calling for Andrew McQualter to not be their coach, which is just crazy. Some of their fans were going bogus with some of their losses, and then they rolled up and they rolled GWS, who then a week later This is why footy is such a funny game. Can you shed some light on this? So West Coast beat GWS here, and then GWS go home and kick 14 goals in a quarter against the back-to-back reigning premiers. Where does that mindset shift come from as a player?
Yeah, well, it's interesting because I don't. That would say that West Coast aren't going that bad. They're actually going. They're going well. They're going well enough to be able to win games of footy. That's probably more on GWS one in the week against West Coast. For whatever reason, they didn't play well. They didn't perform. They didn't game plan well enough against what West Coast were going to do. All those things, and I think the big story out of that is Brisbane. And I know there was a lot in the media about their mids not defending and doing all that kind of stuff, and maybe where their heads are at this stage of the year. So I think there's more news and more issues with where they're at than potentially West Coast and GWS. But I guess GWS have a bit of pride in the fact that they got beaten by a side that's not going that well when you look at it visually and numbers based probably. And I'm sure Adam Kingsley's given him a fair rocket.
He was very happy after the game, and something that did catch my eye was, you don't see this often because I think A, the clubs try not to show it, and B, the broadcaster probably tries not to show it. And I'd love to hear Branchy yell out about this. I noticed that Brent Daniels had a beer in his hand. So it's okay for the players to do whatever they want, like they're normal human beings. That's fine, but I just found it a little... You don't see it often. You don't see that vision in the rooms after the game of the players having a beer. Now, they have a 7-day break.
Yeah, well, not at that level. No, you wouldn't think that the strength and conditioning coach would be too happy about it, but they've obviously got the all clear to be able to do it because they have a 7-day break. But you don't see it much anymore.
Is that just because the team is celebrating such a good win that they've just said, oh, let's have a couple of frosties and celebrate?
I would assume so. I think that's a massive part of, right or wrongly, a massive part of Aussie culture and playing footy is that aspect of it, and the camaraderie that comes with going to battle for 3 hours, and they played a good side. They played well. They won well. They got 7-day break. Let's let our hair down and relax.
So what were they saying, Jimmy?
Oh, no. No one said anything about it, Branchman. I just noticed it and thought you don't see it often because they were only on a 7-day break. It wasn't – because there's some teams that have the bye this week. So I just thought, I just thought the timing was interesting. I'm not saying there's anything wrong with it. I want to make that – there is nothing wrong with having a beer after the game. I hope that you blokes
I'm jealous,
will win
mate.
on Monday.
We get told we can't have beer in the change rooms after.
Well, I hope you blokes win on Monday, finally get your first win, and then I hope that will be a thing that will unite the group, bring them together, and you can have a beer and say, how good, we've won a game. We've got the monkey off the back. Sansa gets his first win, hopefully, as the enrolled senior coach. He would have won games last year as the caretaker.
That's right.
But it's a little different because he wasn't appointed the senior coach at the time. I could be wrong.
No, you're right.
So I've made a story out of nothing. So sorry to Brent Daniels for that.
You're the problem.
Yeah, I actually might be. I'm probably going to get absolutely hosed for that. But let's quickly. As I said, there are a few teams who are not playing this week. But let's get your tips, Blacky, for the AFL upcoming round. Saints and Hawthorn under the lid Thursday night.
Hawthorn. Yeah. Sorry, Jim.
Hawks will beat St Kilda.
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm big on Hawthorn this year. Big on them. Carlton and Geelong at the MCG.
Geelong will win.
Friday night.
By a lot.
I think the Josh Fraser sugar hit will firmly wear off by halftime in that game.
Oh, good on Josh.
He's been brilliant.
He's a good player as well.
Yeah,
back in that's the throwback.
There would be a few people listening to us going, and there would have been a few people going, "Who is Josh Fraser?"
Yeah,
but he was a terrific ruckman at Collingwood for a really long time. Reminded me when one of the young players pulled. You know how they've got them opening packs of cards.
Yeah,
they're going through and saying, "Who do you remember?" And one of them pulled Paul Hazelby. They didn't know who he was. The poor bugger.
Hazel loved that.
Yeah, we'll have to get him in. He's actually promised me that he'll come on to our show.
Beautiful.
Jimmy and Blacky with Paul Hasby. Continuing on to the Saturday game, Sydney-Richmond SCG.
Well, Sydney will win, mate.
Sydney would have to win that if they're serious.
I might get a call up for Richmond if they're that short still. You'd think?
Well, there was some we'll get to that in a minute.
My name is Jeff.
Yeah. It's a generation.
Crazy time in life. This is the game of the round. Brisbane and the Dockers at the Gabba. Brisbane not going well. Fremantle flying.
Yeah, I'll the Dockers, Wharfie time.
They are not,
I'm all on board.
They are not favourites in this game, believe it or not, Fremantle.
Really?
They've won 10 in a row.
So they think the same thing will happen to Brisbane as GWS.
As in
They got
bounce,
touched up
as
and
in
a big
bounce
bounce back.
back.
Huge bounce back if you're going to beat the best side in the comp.
So who are you picking?
Fremantle.
Yeah, I'm picking
By a long way.
I think
Not by a long way,
I
but
think the
they'll win.
bookmakers have got that one around the wrong way. If you are having a punt, please do so responsibly. Doggies Collingwood under the lid.
Well done, Jim. Well done. I like that. Be safe, guys. Make sure you're smart.
Doggies Collingwood under the lid Saturday night. Marvel. I say under the lid. It's stupid.
Yeah. Who was it?
Doggies and
who?
Collingwood.
Collingwood. Oh, I'll go the Pies because I like Sammy Swaddling and I hope he gets a game. Is he not?
Well,
They haven't done the side.
I love Sammy Swaddling
Yeah.
as well, but I really hope they unleash him.
And
soon.
Roan Steele's playing there, obviously. So
He's been phenomenal.
He's been fabulous.
I'm actually not sure he's
10
got
weeks.
enough kudos for the way he's played.
There's a little bit in the background. I've heard a little bit with how well he's going, but elite runner, kicking the ball well, kicking goals.
So Pies for you.
Yeah, just because I love those two.
I think the Doggies, even though they're decimated by injury, will just be a little bit too good for them under the lid at Marvel. 2 more games in the round, Melbourne and GWS. This one's being played in Alice Springs.
I'm a massive Melbourne guy. I love watching them play when they're up and going on a Sunday.
Big
at the pub.
Stephen King guy.
Yeah. No, and Cozzy Pickett, my lord. They're good. They're fun to watch when they're going well. So I'll go Melbourne.
Melbourne for me too. They have got an enormous amount of young talent coming through.
Absolutely.
And being coached well by a first-year senior coach is the most impressive thing, I think. West Coast and Essendon. This game is the last game of the round. It's being played here at 5:20 in Perth.
Give me the eggs. Eagles. Give me the eggs, mate.
So you are an Eagles man.
Oh, yeah.
They'll win this, won't they? They'll win this.
Yeah, they have to.
Yeah. They've got a good contingent of fans in Perth, Essendon and Western Australia, so they'll show out. But I'm picking West Coast. I think I know they've been up and down, but if they're showing improvement, which they have been showing improvement, this is the kind of game where your Harley Reeds just get going and have a nice fill, I reckon.
Yeah.
Beware the coach change curse.
Yeah, it's fascinating. We'd have to bring the numbers up.
Who said that?
That's the our EP today, Cameron Branch, the great man. The buys this week are with Adelaide, North Melbourne, Port Adelaide, and the Gold Coast. So those teams will have a week off. That's enough footy. We'll take a quick little break. Let's go into. I know you're a huge basketball guy.
I was going to say, do we have time for some NBA, Jim? Because we both love the NBA.
Oh, I haven't watched this much playoff basketball in my life. I am obsessed.
What have you been doing? Why are you watching so much NBA?
I'm between jobs. I'm not unemployed. I'm between jobs at the moment. Okay, so if anyone is listening out there wants to take a punt on a producer, a host, a commentator, I'm all ears except for Sunday. I can't work on Sunday. I've got to work because I'm calling the what game am I doing? West Coast and Peel. So could be a big day Sunday. Calling that one and then hopefully going to watch the AFL game. But the NBA playoffs are humming along. The story this week has been really, can Victor Wembanyama and the Spurs, the young Spurs, are they good enough to make the finals? Can they get past OKC to take on the Knicks?
Well, I think it's going to go to 7. They'll win
Game 6.
Game 6.
On their home court.
They're down 3-2. They'll go back to San Antonio. They'll win. Wemby's an emotional cat. He'll get it done. Yeah, and he hasn't been that good this series. He's been solid enough, probably defensively, but I don't think offensively he's given them as much as probably they needed across some of the games when they needed him most. So I think he'll come up big in Game 6 and they'll go to 7. I couldn't tell you who wins though, but
is Victor Wembanyama, is there a chance in your eyes, you've watched a lot of hoops over your life, can this guy actually be the best ever player?
You know how everyone, Jim's got like wasted space in their brain where there's just something that they know a lot about.
Right.
Like the NBA stuff is it for me. Someone asked me if Rui, what draft pick Rui Hachimura was, and I was pick 9 to Washington, and they were like,
"That's crazy.
You can't know that.
That's crazy."
And we obviously looked it up, and it was pick 9 to Washington, but I don't know how I remembered it or how I knew it. Anyway, this is my wasted space stuff.
Wemby.
So I've watched a lot of NBA. I mean, there's a chance, you'd think that he'd probably have to get to the finals and they'd probably have to win this one.
What's he in, year 2?
Yeah, correct. And I just think that if LeBron isn't your GOAT or the GOAT or isn't
he's
the
mine.
undisputed, I know he's yours. And he's probably mine too. But who did
We
that?
got an MJ fan in the back. We need a third camera. I should have had Branchy on the episode.
He's listening.
We should have had him on, mate. So
And then arguably, I'm going to assume it's MJ Branchy. So, but a lot of people will classify MJ as a GOAT because of the winning aspect and the that plays a big part in it, and not losing when the moment's big. So, if he wants to, I wouldn't say why not. He's going to be able to stuff the stat sheet more than any other player has ever been able to, just based on length and size and his ability to shoot it. Pulling up from the logo at OKC
in game one, with the game on the line, was
that was
crazy.
his big game.
Oh, it was crazy.
When he was, when he needed to be big. But like that kind of stuff is unbelievable to watch and see. And I think we're playing local hoops at a YMCA and there's a bunch of 5'9" unathletic blokes running around and we're thinking we're like that is hilarious to think about. But
So he opted not to do media after that loss in game 5. A team staff member said he's not doing it. Stormed out of the venue. Is that? I mean, we'll probably get the verdict by the time people are listening to this. But will he be fined for that?
can we run the clip of Marshawn Lynch saying, I'm just here so I don't get fined?
That's exactly what I was thinking about.
My gut feel, he'll probably get fined. I think they have to do media.
He'll get fined.
Yeah, correct.
Which is why Lynch said that. Because he rocked up.
Because he stopped going.
Knew he wouldn't get fined.
Correct.
But just didn't want to answer the reporters' questions.
Yeah, run that clip when you can.
Well, yeah. If you haven't seen it, it's one of the all-time.
I imagine he gets fined, mate, which is probably no skin off his nose, if I'm honest. I'd love to see him shave his head and come back like Monk Wemby for game 6 and 7.
Okay.
And we've seen he's an emotional cat. Anyone who follows the NBA knows, he was slamming the floor, plays with his emotions.
That photo of him
in...
was it game 1? I think it was game 1. That photo of him in front of the bench. Some people have literally, if I can actually speak for a second, they've actually already pulled it out and framed it and put it on a wall. And
I know you haven't had a tough day at work, mate, because you just said that.
Wouldn't be surprised if they sell that. It was unbelievable. He's got so much aura. The Knicks, first time in 27 years that they're in the NBA Finals. Jalen Brunson, the Brunson burner, is
you
he?
You would love that one, wouldn't you?
I'll claim it.
It's said on ESPN, mate.
Is he good enough to take this team all the way alongside Cat?
No. I think they'll lose in 5 or 6 to OKC or San Antonio.
And then
I think they'll go better against. Yeah, no.
And then the Knicks fans will just burn the city down.
Yeah,
because they're already celebrating.
Oh, that dude with the afro crying is hilarious. Oh, that's a good one. I don't think so. But to be fair, I thought Cleveland were going to beat them. And if Cleveland was at game 1, they were going really well. They were up. They were 23 up or something with however many minutes to go. I thought if they won that, the series looks completely different. But New York got all momentum from that win, and they didn't look like losing after that. But I just don't see them having enough. I'm going to say they don't have enough length. I don't necessarily think he's an okay defender. I guess you play Mitch Robinson, you allow him to foul. Wemby, if it's Wemby, they might have more chance against OKC, if I'm honest. But
yeah, right.
Just
in terms of a matchup.
In terms of matchups, I think. But again, OKC are really long and athletic as well with their 2 bigs and
long and athletic. Where we are, by the time we're back next week, I think we're going to have the finals. So who's playing in the finals? The Knicks and...
my heart, I would like to see San Antonio there, but I think OKC will get them.
I'm very much the same as you. Would love to see Wemby go, take them all the way with his little sidekicks. I say little because they're all smaller than him, but they're still big human beings. Yeah. Is there anything else that you need to get off your chest? Anything?
Off your chest with Blacky.
Are you good?
Well, yeah. I don't actually have too much for you, Jim. We covered the 2 things I like the most. I'm boring.
You can't be that boring. What's it like being a high school teacher?
maybe we can dive into golf one day.
Yeah, I can't hit a ball to save my life.
I've seen it.
I'm terrible. I might be the worst golfer ever. You know what I was good at was Wii golf. This is the
go on.
I
You've
actually
got a fun fact for
I
it.
hold the world record legitimately. I used to play this before every high school day. I used to get the Wii out and I used to
Get the
hit
Wii
them.
out.
And
Okay.
if I wasn't getting an eagle on each hole, then they'd reset. There's only 9 holes. Eagle each hole was 18 under. I don't think anybody else out there has done it. If you've done it and you think you can beat me, let me know. But I don't reckon you can.
I would love to hear if you have 1800. Let us know. Get into slide into the DMs and let us know if anyone's got 18 under. But Jimmy holds the record.
Not bad for a pilot, I reckon. So a very quick thank you to my man Aaron Black, who's going to be co-hosting the show with us. We're going to be here on a weekly basis. Fingers crossed. We are going to have some new friends and some old friends along the way as well. So we'll put the call out. And I reckon there'll be someone sitting next to me, or maybe in your chair. I don't know. Next week, there's plenty of. I can think of a few people who might want to jump on and just tell their story.
And we might have God around a little bit more. We might have heard him a few times.
I hope we do,
chiming
but
in the background.
there's big changes in the background. He's going from 1 to 2 little ones.
Mate, I'm very impressed with you guys. You've done very well. My first
wow.
pilot episode was not this fluent. So, 450 episodes and 7 years later, I can look back on what you guys have just done, and I'm impressed. Well done, lads.
Thank you, Cameron. And massive shout out to you one more time, mate, to finish the Hard Yarns podcast. You would have noticed some of the Hard Yarns memorabilia and stuff around the room. Thanks for having us, mate.
Yeah.
Pleasure.
Thank you very much, Cameron Branch, to the Hard Yarners, to everyone listening. Make sure you like, subscribe, leave a review. Hopefully next week we'll answer more of your questions. Well, hopefully. No, not hopefully. Well, yeah, hopefully. We'll see you next week.